Streetball world, what is up? Welcome to Build. I'm your host, Matt Forte, and we are here live at the Build studio in New York City. Now, 25 years ago, Slam Magazine became the first basketball publication to cover the game through the lens of hip-hop culture, covering all things hoop-related, from NBA, college ball, and high school hoops to street ball, old-school stories, and the fashion of the game. It was basketball Twitter before there was even internet. More than 20 years later, Slam is still the #1 outlet for all things that matter in the world of basketball. And joining me here now is Chief Executive Officer at Slam Media, Inc. Folks, make a ridiculous amount of noise and join me in welcoming the great Dennis Page right here. Dude up!
Thank you, thank you. Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
It is so great to have you, man. I'm super excited you're here. Congratulations. 25 years of anything, much less in the print world, is an achievement. It's an accomplishment. It's something to be celebrated. How are you feeling? How is life right now? What's going on with Dennis?
It's been a long journey.
Yeah.
You know, like you said, 25 years is a long time. It seems like every day another magazine is closing. And, you know, I've lived through the transition from magazines right on through to today, to Instagram pretty much dominating everything. So, you know, it's been a challenge, but, you know, it's a long story. So, yeah.
We'll get to it. We're going to get into it. I'm
Go
excited
ahead.
to talk to you about it. But before we even get into that, let's just talk a little bit about what's going on right now. 25 years, your baby can drive and rent a car. Like, this is 25 years. This is a huge summer. Are you guys celebrating in any big way? I know we're going to do Volume 2 this year, over the summer in August. Tell us what's going on this summer, what's happening at Slam.
Yeah, the Slam Summer Classic,
Yeah.
Volume 2.
So exciting.
The weekend of August 16th here at Dyckman, up in Inwood. You know, it's when the story will unfold how I got here. So, you know, just quickly, you know, I started Slam, sold it, and then bought it back. So now we have a lot of investment capital. So hence, the game, you know, finally got off the ground last year. So 25 years, better late than never. But what we do is we bring the kids outdoors. Most kids, especially now, have never played outdoors. Back, you know, when I first started Slam, everybody played outdoors at Rucker Park. Dyckman was just beginning. Dyckman's now 30 years old. So the concept of street ball, per se, is a new thing to this generation of hoopers. If you're from New York, they all grew up playing in the playground, but not this generation. So last year when we brought them, they just bugged out when they walked on the court. So it's a lot of fun.
It really is. There's a lot of great video on Slam Online that you can see from Volume 1, and it's just the energy and the excitement and everything. It's such an amazing vibe. Are you guys doing anything this year for Volume 2 to up the stakes, to make things bigger and better, or is it perfect as it is? Let's just do it again.
It was pretty perfect. Yeah. I mean, the weather makes me insane. You know, the game was originally for Saturday night. We had to move it up till 2 in the afternoon, so that creates a lot of drama around it. But it's a whole weekend, and it's not a basketball-intense weekend. The kids don't practice. Friday night, we do a slam dunk contest, a one-on-one, very casual for friends and family, so we do that. And we have some other special things planned around the city. There could be a 2K video game tournament with the kids. So we're still flushing it out, what the weekend will look like, and we'll probably play Sunday this year, girls and boys.
What was, looking back on last year, what was your personal favorite part? Wanting to do this for so long, seeing this realized, having it become a reality.
Just seeing the kids walk on. Initially, it had poured the night before, so the game was actually in jeopardy. There was a chance the court would not dry out and it wouldn't go off, and then the sun would peek out, go back in, finally came out, the court dried. And just seeing the kids in that environment with the crowd, which is on the court. Yeah. So one of the kids, might have been Cassius Stanley, who's now going to Duke. Cassius was like, oh, do they move back into the stands? And we're like, no. They're here, they're in your face, show out, or go home. So it was great. It was amazing.
Take me, we alluded to it already early in the conversation. You told me briefly a little bit. You gave me a teaser in the green room. I want to hear, and I apologize for making you tell it the millionth time, but it's a wonderful story. You know, we look back, 25 years ago, 1994, I was reading into it too. I didn't even connect the dots. That's the year Jordan went to play baseball.
Exactly.
That's the year.
Yes.
Yeah, there was a Sports Illustrated cover that was
Yes.
like NHL is hot, NBA is not. So 94 seems like maybe the worst time to say, I'm going to make a new magazine about basketball.
So
tell me
the
the
story,
whole thing.
it's a long story. I'll try and make it quick. I was with a friend of mine who worked at a record company. His name is Alan Grunblatt. Grunblatt, if you're out there, hello. We were at the Source Awards, the first year of the Source Awards. Do you remember the Source? Yeah, I mean, the Source is the Bible of hip-hop. Yeah. And we're both big basketball fans. I mean, hardcore basketball fans. He's like, yo, why don't you just start a hip-hop basketball magazine? You know, you'll have rappers in basketball. So I went home that night, tried to come up with a table of contents, like how many rappers can I do stories on that and talk about basketball? I couldn't pull it off. So the next morning, light bulb went off, and I was like, oh, it's just a basketball magazine with a hip-hop sensibility. So I just figured it out. There was a lot of inspiration, The Source being one. Vibe had just been out with 2 issues. So Vibe really took The Source to another level. They had beautiful photography. So I was like, I know I need beautiful photography, but not like SI, which is just action. I need beautiful portrait photography. Yeah. So that was a key component. And it was really the language and how The Source and Vibe wrote, how their articles portrayed rappers. I was like, I'm just going to talk about the Jordans of the world, and these guys were the new rock stars. I have to write this magazine in that way. So when I conceived of the idea, then Jordan said, I'm retiring. I'm going to leave. I'm going to go play baseball. It was really, I was like on the floor, oh, fuck. This thing's over before it even gets out of the gate. So, but it was, you know, I'm like, I'm going for it. We had a real hard time getting the first cover off. We got Larry Johnson by hook or crook. I think we were at a Converse press conference. He was grandmama. So we dug that out. There was no Jordan. And then, you know, we put it out on the newsstand, and really it just took off. There was nothing of its kind at that, in any kind of, you know, part of sports. But basketball is really the only sport that I believe has a real culture around it. So like you said in the intro, it's NBA, it's college, it's high school, it's streetball legends, it's everything. It's the sneakers. No one had, in a national forum, wrote about sneakers. Fashion, what are the guys wearing, and then the music. So that was...
When you put it out in the stands, you had that anxiety, Jordan's gone, this and that, and it's dead before it's even left the ground. But did you, as it was out there, as people were responding to it, did you have a sense of how culturally significant Slam was going to become and how important?
Not really. I mean, the company was a newsstand company. You know, we didn't really do subscriptions. You throw it out. You hope for the best. It's sold. So I did another one. And you don't really, you know, there's no internet now. Yeah. So you get letters. And the letters are coming in. But I'm really looking at how is it selling. Yeah. It's just pure data. And it's working. And, you know, eventually as you go around the city, you know, I'm up at Rucker Park and people are like, oh, and I had no idea how fanatical people were about not only basketball, but it as a culture. So that was...
How did you go about assembling or drafting your team, as it were? No pun intended there. But, like, you had so many amazing editors and collaborators on this, many of whom go on to have incredible careers after working at Slam. What were you looking for? How were you identifying your partners at this time?
There was nowhere to go. I used to read The Village Voice, had the most eclectic sports section. I mean, I'm like, I can't get a corny dude from the Times or the Post. You know, Pete Vesey, I love him, but he's not going to do this. Who's going to take a risk? So I reached out to this guy at The Voice, Tom Curtis, Kertes, crazy, crazy writer. I followed him every week. He wasn't interested. He was like a just off the charts crazy guy. He referred me to another writer, this guy, Corey Johnson, and I just stumbled into him, and I'm like, yo, you want to do this thing with me? He's like, yeah, let's go. And that was it. We didn't even have a name. We were like between Slam and Jam. He's like, yeah, it's got to be Slam. I'm like, let's go. And that was it. And literally, I had another magazine at the time, Guitar World. So that art director laid it out. I knew the vision because the real inspiration was Spike Lee's Jordan commercials and ads. if you remember, there were like a lot of really dope graphic ads, I guess Wyden and Kennedy was putting out for the Jordans, and that was like, it's going to look like this. And we put it out. I mean, some dopey shit in there. I don't mean dope in a good way. I mean, we look back at some of the cover lines, you know, Slam of the Month and the In Your Face magazine. I mean, but at that time, you know.
Well, that's the
That was
90s.
it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
there's
It's
so
very
much
90s.
of that time.
And hip hop.
And
A lot of the lyrics inspired all that. Every headline, I think, was maybe a lyric.
was a lyric. It was full,
Exactly. So
my buddy Derwin here, I think second only to you, knows the most about Slam that a person I've ever met.
Right.
And we were talking about that earlier today, and I didn't realize how many of them. But he was like, yeah, all.
there's a
all
guy
hip-hop.
on Instagram. Figs, warming the bench? Yeah, you got to follow it on Instagram. He is the biggest. He's in London. Sammy Gunnell. Shout out to Sammy wherever you are. He is the biggest expert on Slam, way more than me. And right now, he is posting every issue. He's up to, I don't know, maybe issue 15. So just warming the bench, go in his feed, and you can see every issue. He has page by page, all the ads. I mean, it's phenomenal. He's our historian.
I was going to say, is he unofficial? Unofficial historian.
Unofficial, yeah.
And he's just posting them.
Every day. It's been going on for years. I met him a few years ago, and God bless Sammy Gunnell.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I think we're a lot of big corporations be like, that's our intellectual property. Do not post the No, you're like, this dude's our unofficial historian.
He's our biggest fan.
That's so cool.
Go. And I hope nothing happens to him, because we don't even have, I may have a complete set of every issue, but there are not, you know, some fancy library with 10 copies of every, you know, it's not Condé Nast here.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
One of the features we talked about, like Slam of the Month, and you look back and some things are so distinctly and uniquely 90s. But one of the features that has endured, that's just a great concept, and it's been there through the beginning. It's the diaries. It's where you guys go out and you identify a young up and comer, somebody who's really showing promise. I think the greatest example of you guys identifying an up and comer would be LeBron.
Right.
You guys were there at the ground level.
We were first.
Yeah.
I think we covered him as a sophomore.
Yeah.
And then SI did him as a cover. And I'll be honest, personally, that's one of the big L's that I've had personally, not doing him first as the cover. We've never done a sophomore. You know, in high school, we've done some juniors. We did LeBron as a junior on his way to his senior year. Yeah. But like to do a sophomore, and we're actually considering it now for a couple guys.
Are you?
Yeah. So I was like, nah, it just can't happen. But it's a big regret.
I mean, hindsight's 20/20.
Exactly.
Right? But what did you see? What were you looking for at that time when you were going out and trying to identify these kids that are going to change the game? What were the telltale signs? Like,
just who's the dopest, coolest high school kid? I mean, it can't be the best player necessarily, the number one
Why is that?
kid. It's a certain kid. I mean, issue number 1 was Stephon Marbury. That was a no-brainer. He personified what Slam was going to be about. Yeah. You know, he's just, he ran New York. So we went out. I met him before the first issue. We did a fashion layout at Lincoln High School. I still speak to Stephon. Actually, I was texting with him a few moments ago about another thing we're trying to do with him. So, yeah, he was the guy. I remember arguing, I think, about the diarist for year 2, who's the coach at Marquette? What's his name? Wojciechowski. Yeah. So I was like, nah, he's not right. But Corey won that battle. So, but we've always had the best players as high school diarists.
Is that a fun part of the job? Is the heated debates when you guys are talking about
all day long?
It's the
That's
best.
all we talk about. Right now, it's Kevin Durant. It's the K's.
Yeah.
You know, Kevin Durant, Clay, Kyrie, AD, and what's going to happen in all the what-if scenarios, but especially now it's super heated in the office. So we talk about it incessantly.
It's the dream gig for you, isn't it? That's it.
It is. Yeah. It is. It's a lot of fun, but it's a hard business.
We're gonna, in a little while, we're gonna go over to audience Q&A, but I thought it'd be really fun, especially 25 years, and from what I understand, you get asked this all the time, what your favorite covers are. So your people were awesome enough to help us out. We got a couple of covers. I believe they're some of your top picks. Thought we could go through them. Maybe there's a story behind them. This one.
Okay. I just want to pull out my cheat sheet for the timing,
Okay.
Wanted to-
Actually, I can help you with that because I wrote
Okay.
this was March of '99.
Correct. Very good.
Yeah, there we are. See?
Okay.
Yeah, well, I did my homework.
This is the iconic Slam cover. Yeah. This is it. Iverson was like 6-7 hours late. As usual, yeah. I remember sitting in the movies. We did the shoot in Philly, and it's always drama with Alan. But the idea was to blow this is really a tribute to Dr. J. Yeah. So
well, again, shout out to my buddy Derwin. He was telling me this cover. He was like, it took throwback sales and sent them through the roof. He was like, this was the one that pushed throwback sales into the front of the culture.
I mean, yeah. I look back at that. I was thinking about that. Throwbacks. I also published another magazine at the time, Double XL. Mm-hmm. So everyone wore throwbacks. I would go to the Hot 97 Summer Jam. I mean, 15,000 people, 14,900 wearing throwbacks until Jay-Z single-handedly killed it. So, but what's cool about this is we now have a licensing deal with Mitchell and Ness. So your Derwin's T-shirt. Yeah. So now we're finally 25 years later putting out some of the classic covers on T-shirts for sale.
That's pretty awesome.
In the Slam store.
In the Slam store.
Cop one today.
Is that part, before we'll come back to this,
ahead.
but when you came back in 2017, was that one of your big projects? Like
yeah, exactly. When I bought it back, that was priority number one to do that deal with Mitchell and Ness, who was the throwback king. Right. I mean, all those jerseys that everybody wore were from Mitchell and Ness. Exactly. So this is, I've sold thousands of these.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Let's go to the next one we got. This one's from August of '02.
This is my personal favorite because this was our first LeBron cover. Sebastian, I followed him since he was a little kid. He's Stefan's cousin, and we knew all about him, and we're very partial to anybody in New York. So he was next in line after Stefan, and it was amazing. I was there. It was at Hunter College, and it's a kind of an interesting thing because LeBron is arguably one of the greatest players of all time and one of the most famous people in the world. And Sebastian is now having some real, tragic situation with all the gun stuff. So this one kind of, tears at me a lot. Yeah. So great cover.
A beautiful cover. And, just kind of going back to what you said earlier is that not just action photos, but beautiful portrait photos. And I was really excited to do this a little bit with you because to see them so large.
I don't think we pulled the first, again, when we started Slam, no one knew what it was, so I had to go to the NBA and buy action shots. I think our first portrait shot was John Starks, maybe issue 3 or 4, and then Latrell Sprewell and Timmy Hardaway. So then we shot everybody.
What was that? Why not the first couple of ones? Is it because you guys just
nobody knew who we were? Like, huh? What Slam?
We're not going to come in and do that.
I'm not doing any photo shoot with you. I don't even know what you're show and prove. So that took a minute. But
it was always part of the idea.
Always,
part of the vision. We got to get
always,
to that point.
yeah. But it took a few issues to get our legs under us.
That's amazing. Let's go to the next one. This is from October of '97.
Another personal favorite because it's Stefan. It's a bite on showbiz and AG and Garnett. Again, we followed all these guys from high school. Kevin Garnett when he went from South Carolina to Chicago, and when they hooked up. It's just legendary. But again, the chains come in. You guys pose however you want.
Yeah. That's something I want to ask.
Uncensored.
Uncensored,
yeah,
yes.
Exactly.
I forgot to bring this up when we were looking at Alan over there, but famously, NBA, like Hoop, would airbrush out the tattoos.
Correct.
But you guys...
Our ex-editor, Tony Gervino, left Slam. Tony had a long run. Tony was phenomenal. Yeah. He left and went to, I guess it was Hoop, and then that was a big controversy because Hoop was... I guess run by or not owned by the NBA, but the NBA made him take off all the tats, and I think that was the beginning of the end for Tony leaving. Yeah. So nah.
What was when you went into the shoot? Nobody ever smiles on a Slam cover.
Never.
Was that part of your? Was that like a decision? Like we're going to do your portrait. You don't have to smile. You don't have to do anything. We want you to just be you.
Correct.
Yeah, that was the mission.
That was the mission. Just be hard. Because it was not a soft magazine.
No,
so
not at
looking
all.
back, it sounds a little preposterous, but that was our vibe.
Yeah. I mean, I don't, like you said, it's very much of the 90s. Slamming them.
Exactly.
There you go.
It's hip-hop.
Well.
Yep.
Let's take a look at the next one. This one, I mean, this one's classic. This is February 97, 96,
Yep,
97.
this
rookies.
is arguably the greatest draft class ever. And we just had, this idea that we knew they had the rookie orientation at NBA headquarters. I think it was in Secaucus. And it was really also all the trading card companies. That's where they shot their photos for the cards. So Topps, Fleer, all those cards were shot that day. And we just called up. We were super tight with NBA photos. Shout out to Joe Amati and Carmen and all those guys. And like, hey, can we grab 5 minutes, get them on a wall, and snap them together? That was our first gatefold cover, and historic. We've done about maybe 5 others, but this is the. And what's most important is Allen Iverson is not there. He was kicked out of the orientation, sent home. So it's more important about who's not on that cover than who is.
Pretty amazing. We got a couple left.
Yep.
Let's go to the next one real quick. This one.
This is our
This was
Figs, our first and only rapper.
June of 2016.
June of 20.
Yeah.
Yep, our current head of content, Adam Figman, hooked this up. He said, "Hey, I'm going to get Drake on the cover." I'm like, "Yeah, really?" So this is just so cool.
No, that's interesting. You said first and only rapper in a magazine. It's a basketball magazine, but it's also about hip hop culture. Were you surprised that it
We've
took until
tried. We
2016?
had a music issue.
Yeah.
We played around. We've had some good looks. Like Chance the Rapper with Dwayne Wade. We just could not get the schedules to come together. So this was, we pulled this one off. I mean, Drake is an impossible get. Yeah. He doesn't do covers for anybody. But what's really, really special about this is check out the Carter Effect documentary. And there's a segment in there, Drake talking about the power and influence of slam. Yeah. So we use that in our media kits, and
damn straight you do. Yeah, it's something like that.
it's priceless on what he says about what slam and the meaning of slam. Yeah, so thank you, Drake.
I think we have one more, which is actually 3 more.
Yep. This is our most recent issue.
Yeah.
We do a future issue now, like who's going to be next. The whole issue is devoted to all guys on the come up. We took the Back to the Future theme, played around with it. What I like about it is shows our breadth. So Zion obviously is Zion. Zion, along with LeBron, are the only guys to have 2 covers before actually wearing an NBA uniform. Huh. So they're very special covers for them. Yeah. Ja is probably the number 2 pick. Really important, and I like it because it's like this mid D1 kind of guy. C.J. McCollum, Dame Lillard. So we're really pulling that. Donovan Mitchell. That's not a mid D1, but low draft pick. So really, we like these guys that are not the obvious. And then LaMelo Ball, I think, is one of the most interesting stories in basketball currently. Yeah. Didn't play in high school. Where's he going to play this year? Australia, China, who knows? But what's going to happen to him because the kid can play? Yeah. So where will he land after next year? Will he become an NBA superstar, or will he be, just who knows where?
And that's a big factor, too, when you do something like this. It's not, like you said, not just the best player, it's the best story.
Best story. Yeah, exactly. Always what's the most interesting stories. So, it's not always just the best guy. It's not what we do. Right. It's the most compelling stories.
Getting the signal, we got a couple of questions in the room. I don't want to eat up all the time, so let's definitely get to that. The first one is going to come to us from all over here.
Hello.
I was wondering if you could speak to the print to digital move and what that meant for Slam, how you guys navigated that abrupt.
Very easy. I mean, we had a small staff. When I bought it back, we had 8 people. We're now at 30. So when you have 8 people, a lot of publishers sort of have that digital over there and print over there. And now you see the Hearst and Condé Nast, like now blending them. We did that from the beginning of the internet. Like we have to do the website. Everybody does everything. So that was pretty easy for us. But but it's digital first. It's really social first. It's probably Instagram first. Every morning, what are we doing on Instagram? What are we doing on Twitter? What are we doing on the website? And the magazine is not last. It's very important. And the complete irony of this whole damn thing is the Slam cover is the most important piece, the crown jewel of what we do, because every kid that's coming up wants the Slam cover. You get, an Instagram post, swipe next. There's nothing like it, and it's tangible, and I'm not some old dude hanging on to print, but that cover, I have a friend of mine in the business. He, one day we were just hanging out. He said, arguably, it's one of the two most important covers in the magazine business. He put it next to Vogue. Not Rolling Stone anymore. If you're a band, Rolling Stone doesn't mean much, but the way we've embraced high schoolers now with our game and all the video we do with high school kids, they want that cover. It's very precious, and not anyone can get it. So the print actually is just as important and maybe more important.
That's interesting. Did you guys, when you were first starting to adapt and figure out how to keep Slam going, were you surprised to learn how significant that cover still was to people?
We knew it,
yeah,
but it's our point of access.
Yeah.
We have Zion Williamson did no press since, the Duke season was over. I think we're one of the only media companies that got a major interview with him, video and real extensive time. Bleacher Report, ESPN, they don't have that. So it's that cover is really our magic. And it's kind of ironic. I don't know if that's the right word, but 25 years later, that cover. So the magazine, I can't say it will never go away because it's a hard battle, but it's here for now. So, we embrace it.
For sure. That was a great question. Thank you, Kate. Do I have time for one more? I do. I've got one more question right over here in the back.
Hi.
Go for it.
With such a small and growing staff, what do you look for in someone you're going to collaborate with at work?
Passion. They have to know the culture. Yeah, you can't, people from other media companies could not necessarily work there. Everyone wears a lot of hats. You really have to have the passion for the culture. It's not, do you know turnover to ratio, some Zach Lowe shit. We don't care about stats. It's like passion for the game and really knowing the breadth of the culture, from the sneakers, to playgrounds, the whole spectrum of the game.
What's been the biggest, 25 some odd years, 20 years is a long time, but from when you left and came back, what's been the biggest change for you? Was there something you were expecting? You knew the company evolved, you knew things had changed from when you started it, but now 2017 you come in.
It's not the biggest change. We finally have some money.
That's nice.
We have an investor. We'll call him Joe. He's the best thing the best thing that ever happened to me and the whole team. And we finally can invest, and we're just hitting on all cylinders, from the game to social. Video content has probably quadrupled. I mean, 100-fold the amount of content we're generating. So we're in a good spot, and I think in 5 years, I think we'll be 5 times as big, and we'll be reaching, hopefully 50 million people, compared to the 10 we reach now. So. It's cool.
Pretty wild. You are an incredibly smart and incredibly cool dude, and I had so much fun hanging out with you. Thank you,
yeah.
Dennis, for being here. I want to encourage everybody, if they haven't yet, man, hit up slamonline.com and check it out and see all this amazing work that Dennis was talking about that they've done. And keep an eye out. Summer Classic Volume 2, the weekend of August 17th to the 18th is happening. If you haven't watched the videos from Volume 1, you can catch those on slamonline.com, and they're really, really awesome. I suggest you check them out. Anything else I should tell the people about before we get out of here, Dennis?
Follow us on social.
Boom.
We have 7 channels now. We just launched a women's channel. So W Slam, Main Slam, Slam Kicks, Slam High School, W Slam, Slam FTW, and our hottest one is called League Fits, which are the guys and their outfits. Is probably one of our hottest. They're all hot. 7 channels now on Instagram and Twitter.
Instagram and Twitter. Fantastic. Everybody, you better make a crazy amount of noise because this is freaking Dennis Page right here. Do it up. Say thank you. Come on, join me in thanking Dennis Page. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.